on a disk floating through space with a tiny sun.
What's up, people? My name is Red from the YouTube channel Red's Rhetoric. With me is my partner in crime, Team Skeptic, and we will be moderating this shit show for today. So I'm going to pass off to my main man, my brother from another mother, Team Skeptic, to tell us what's going on tonight. Team, it's all yours.
Oh man, we got critical mass stupidity tonight, I'm sure. But hey, in a good way, because we do have our main man Spurskizmo, who I actually like. Spurs, I think our last discussion we had, the person who came with you lost his shit and ended up getting booted off, but you still stuck around, and I appreciate that, man. Welcome back to another showing, and tell everybody about yourself.
Yeah, thank you. Spurskizmo, as you all know. You've got Spurskizmo there, I don't mind the name change. Yeah, enjoying discussing these topics. So basically what I'll discuss tonight is atmospheric pressure, if there is such a thing, and gravity, if there is such a thing.
Okay.
Because for me, if there is no atmospheric pressure, there is no gravity, which means there is no globe. And that is one way of showing that we do not live on any type of ball or anything like that. So, yeah, that's me.
Okay.
All right. And you'll be facing off against Fight the Flat Earth. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I'm Fight the Flat Earth.
Introduce yourself.
Yeah, my mic is on. Yeah, I'm Fight the Flat Earth. No one knows me. I'm just a nobody around here in these parts. But yeah, I'm excited because Spurs tells me he's got some new things that we haven't spoke about before. I think every conversation I've had with Spurs has been pretty much to do with the moon landings, so I'm excited to move away from that topic in particular. Obviously, I've got all the evidence that I can normally show. Direct observations, data that's been gathered, experiments showing that there's curvature and spin, etc. But let's see what Spurs has got to say and get this shit show on the road.
I totally agree. Now, for the record, when either yours truly or Team Skeptic say shut up, that goes for both of y'all bitches, all right? I want to make that clear. When we say shut up, that means zip it, okay? I got a bag full of shit with both your names on it. All right, good. So, to start us off, Spurs, please tell us all what you have brought with you today to share with the class.
Well, again, obviously demonstrations is the key. So I have a demonstration that shows that there is no pressure, no atmospheric pressure at least. And I'm here to question how we actually measure the pressure, the atmospheric pressure. So what I'll do is I'll play a video.
Okay.
To begin with, and we can take a look at this.
All right.
Let me share my screen.
Yeah, just share it on the Hangouts we set up, and I'll flip it over on here.
Will do.
Okay.
Okay, so I don't know how long this video is on for, a few minutes, but we'll watch it anyway, and then we'll review what he says.
Okay, today I'm going to be showing you that nothing sucks. So you may or may not have seen this physics trick before. What you do is you fill a small bowl up with water. In this case, I'm just going to use the bottom of my vacuum chamber. Okay, then I'm going to put some matches stuck in some styrofoam floating in the water. Then I'm going to light the matches on fire, and I'm going to stick a cup over it, and so the water is going to get sucked up into the glass. So I say it's going to get sucked up, but what's really happening is the atmosphere is going to push the water up into the glass. So once the water is pushed up inside of there, to show that it's the atmosphere pushing it up, I'm going to turn on my vacuum chamber and the water should fall back out of it. Okay, let's light our matches. the water. Okay, so you can see how much water it sucked up into there. Again, I keep saying sucked up, but what's really happening is the atmospheric pressure pushed the water up inside of there. Okay, so let's see if that's really true. Showing that nothing sucks in a vacuum chamber. 3, 2, 1. Oh, it's going back down. Oh, there it goes. So you can see it bubbling the gas out of the glass there.
Okay, so we can stop it there.
Okay,
And this is what I would like to discuss. So he said that the reason why the water was pushed into the glass was because the atmosphere was being pushed down.
Yeah.
That would be physics. That's what we're told.
Mm-hmm.
But what happens when you burn all the oxygen in this glass? You create a vacuum. So when you burn all the oxygen in this glass here, let's rewind it. Because we're looking for the cause and the effect of certain things here, right?
Yeah.
So obviously he's made a fire. He puts it inside the glass. All the oxygen is being burnt up, as we can see. And he's creating what we can see as a vacuum inside of this glass. So it sucks, the vacuum would suck the water up, not the atmosphere. This is the cause, obviously, of the sucking here. And then what he does, we can go forward, when he turns the vacuum on. So he just reverses the action and sucks the water back out. This is the vacuum now. And the water is now sucked out.
Yes. Well, again, vacuums don't suck is the main point of this video. No matter.
I know. This is what we're saying.
Yeah.
I know. I'm saying that he's lying. He's lying to us. This is a blatant lie, because he's saying the cause of the water going up the glass is the atmosphere. The atmosphere pushing down.
Yeah. The air pressure, atmospheric pressure. So
the atmospheric pressure.
So what's happening is when the matches are combusting and they're using up the oxygen in there, and that's creating space, which is what then allows the atmospheric pressure to push the water into that space that was there. I mean, the one of the main things to understand is no vacuum on Earth is stronger than the atmospheric pressure. Because every vacuum on Earth is dependent on the atmosphere pushing into the vacuum. That's what the atmosphere. Vacuums don't suck.
Hold on. Is there any oxygen in this glass?
Well, not as much as when it started, obviously.
So why did the flame go out? Why did they burn all the way down to the bottom?
Well, like I said, probably most of the oxygen would be used up, but there would be other gases in there. You know, the air isn't made of just oxygen, is it?
No, but for this to burn down, you need oxygen. So when you burn all the oxygen in a glass, you create a vacuum. There's no oxygen in there.
No, that's what I'm saying.
The
oxygen, right? Spurs. The oxygen may have gone. But air contains other gases. Air isn't just oxygen. That's only like a percentage.
Yeah, but for this to burn, for this to breathe, for this fire to breathe, it needs oxygen.
Yes.
But there was zero oxygen in here.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean there's no other gases in there.
Well, like what?
Oxygen. What's air made of? What are the components of air? Do you know?
You tell me.
Surely you know. Tell me 3 of the gases that comprise our oxygen. There's more than 3, but can you tell me 3?
No.
So
all I know is that
right. So
what I know is
do you think that the oxygen is just that the atmosphere is just oxygen?
no, I'm saying that in this glass,
Yeah,
for
in
this to burn, it needs oxygen.
yes, and the oxygen gets used up. But that doesn't mean that there isn't other gases in there, because the atmosphere contains more gases than just oxygen. For instance, nitrogen, carbon dioxide, helium. These are just some of the atmospheres some of the gases that actually make up our atmosphere. So yes, in that glass, it's going to have used up it's going to have used up probably most of the oxygen, but that doesn't mean that there isn't some carbon dioxide in there, some nitrogen in there, other gases that are taking up the rest of that space. So it's not going to fill up the entire way.
So you wouldn't be able to breathe in this glass.
No,
Or you would.
you need oxygen to breathe. You couldn't just breathe nitrogen and carbon dioxide.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that a place that has no air or oxygen is what? What is what?
No. See that you made the mistake there. Air or oxygen, they aren't interchangeable. Oxygen is just one part of the atmosphere. The atmosphere, what we breathe, it's not just oxygen. So I'm not disagreeing with you that the oxygen.
What else do we breathe?
Carbon dioxide, nitrogen, helium. But the body, the gas that our body uses is oxygen. That's what goes into our blood to oxygenate it to go around and keep us healthy. But the atmosphere is made up of other gases, Spurs, not just oxygen.
But I'm talking about in this glass. If you burn up all the oxygen in this area, what is the state of this inside the glass?
There's going to be some nitrogen, some carbon dioxide. It's not going to be a vacuum. It's going to be less space than there was before because the oxygen has been used up to make the flame. But then the flame goes because the oxygen's been used up. But if you remove one of three things, that still leaves two other things there.
What other things?
Carbon dioxide, nitrogen, to just name two of many.
Well, how do you know they're in there?
Because that's what the air is made of. The air is made of these things.
Even in a vacuum?
It was not a vacuum because there's other gases in there. That's what I'm trying to tell you, Spurs. In that cup isn't a vacuum. The oxygen has been removed, which is just a portion of the atmosphere, of the air. The air that was in that cup is now minus the oxygen that was in there. There is still other gases.
All right. So you're saying the area between here and here, there is atmosphere, so to speak.
Well, gases, certainly.
Atmosphere, though.
No, because atmosphere comprises partly oxygen. We've removed the oxygen from there, so it's no longer atmosphere. Atmosphere would mean that we can breathe.
If this area is if there's no atmosphere in this area,
but there is other gases. Do you understand what I'm saying? There is, for instance, right. The air isn't just oxygen. The air is comprised of many gases, mainly nitrogen, carbon dioxide, oxygen. I think they're the biggest three components of the atmosphere, okay? So, now if you put those three gases into that cup, okay? Yeah. And it needs one of the gases to make a flame. So you use that one gas to make the flame, and that gas has now gone away. That one of the three gases has gone away. How many gases does that leave in the cup?
Well, it'd have been burnt up because it's a vacuum.
No. Listen to what I'm saying. There is three gases. The one gas that was used to make the flame is oxygen. So oxygen, one of the three, has been taken away. How many gases? How many gases? If there was three gases and I have taken one away, how many gases does that leave?
In a vacuum, zero.
It's not a vacuum. Spurs, this is what I'm telling you. It's not a vacuum because there is other gases in there. A vacuum means that everything has been removed. The only thing that's been removed from there is the oxygen.
So how do you make a vacuum then? Describe
you would take away all of the gases.
How?
By creating a way for the pressure to push all of it out.
So when he sucks out the air,
Well, no, you
When he
don't
sucks
suck
out
out
the
the air.
air.
The atmospheric pressure pushes out. That's the thing. That's what we're trying to get to here, is that the atmosphere is pushing on that water. Okay, so in that cup,
Yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. But
this is the important part. All right? In that cup, right? I'm not saying there's just three, but I'm just going to talk as though there's three gases. Okay, so in that cup was three gases. One of them being oxygen, which you need to make a flame. Okay? So the flame was in there. It used up the oxygen. The flame went out, which shows that the oxygen has been removed. Okay? Which means that a portion of the gas that was in that cup has been removed.
Citation, Craig, because
What
this
citation?
You're making stuff up, because if you
I'm not making anything up.
if you remove the oxygen from this chamber, you create a vacuum.
No, because a vacuum is the absence of any gases. There is
so when he removes the air from this entire cube, what is he doing? He's doing the same thing that is happening in this cup.
No, because you're using pumps to actually, force the air out of the chamber to create the vacuum. Whereas in the case of the cup, he didn't create a vacuum. He just removed one of the gases, which made some space, which allowed the atmospheric pressure to push some water into it. My point is, Spurs, that isn't a vacuum in the cup. Only the oxygen was removed. When he creates a vacuum inside the chamber, all of the gases are removed. All of them. Not just the oxygen, all of them.
All right, well...
So there's a difference, right? That's what I'm trying to say. There's a difference between what happened in the cup.
You obviously don't know physics, Craig. No, well, this is Physics 101. When you burn all the oxygen in here, you create a vacuum. This is science.
No. Spurs. A vacuum is the absence of any gases. What happened? Right, let's break this down to the most basic. What is 3 take away 1?
For goodness sakes, Craig, come on.
This is what I'm trying to say to you here. This is what you don't seem to be understanding. If there's 3 gases in the cup and 1 is removed, that leaves 2 gases in the cup, which means that there is not a vacuum.
Can you demonstrate this? I mean, we're showing science here right now.
What do you want me to demonstrate? That oxygen is what is needed to create a flame.
Yeah, that you're saying there are other gases inside this vacuum.
It's not a vacuum, Spurs. All right, do you agree that the air that you breathe is more than just oxygen?
Yeah, there are many components.
Right, okay. So if you remove the oxygen, that's going to leave the other components, right?
You still can't breathe with those components.
That doesn't matter. I'm not saying you can breathe in that cup. You're taking away oxygen, which we need to breathe, but you're leaving the other gases in there. A vacuum isn't just the absence of oxygen, it's the absence of anything.
Nothing could survive in this cup.
I agree with you. I agree, unless something that breathes pure nitrogen went in that cup. But that is not what a vacuum is. A vacuum is not if you can survive in there or not. A vacuum is the absence of any gases. Right. I'm going to break this down into sections, right? I'm going to walk you through this, okay? Does the air contain more than just oxygen? Yes?
Oh, hello? Say again.
Right. I'm going to break this down into sections, right? First thing I need you to understand is, does the air contain more oxygen? You've already agreed that there's many components to the air, right?
Yeah, the atmosphere contains many components.
So, inside that cup is the many components of the atmosphere. Do we agree
like
that?
What? No, like what?
The many components that you just said about. Like, I've explained to you that the atmosphere contains, for instance, oxygen, nitrogen, and carbon dioxide. There's other things, but we just talk about those 3, okay? So the air that you're breathing, the air around you, the air that was in that cup contained carbon dioxide, nitrogen, and oxygen.
Right.
Okay? Now, what does a fire need?
It needs oxygen.
Oxygen, okay? Does it need carbon dioxide?
It needs oxygen.
Right. Okay. It just needs oxygen. Brilliant. Right. So
We can't burn without oxygen.
oxygen, yeah, oxygen, which is, remember, one of the many components of the
Yeah,
air.
but how will fire burn without oxygen?
That's why it goes out, because it uses up the oxygen, which creates a partial space, because oxygen, which, as you've just agreed, one of the many components of the atmosphere inside that cup has been removed.
Yeah.
But that leaves the other components, right? You understand that, yes?
No. We'll have to agree to disagree because
No, we can't agree to disagree, Spurs. This is basic physics. 3 take away 1 equals 2.
The cause of why the water is sucked up. If it was the pressure, he wouldn't need to light. He wouldn't need to light the fire in the first place. You see, and that's the point. If the pressure was really pushing down on that water, he would just put the cup over the glass like this. This is why it's called a trick, a physics trick, right? The trick is to think that things are being pushed and pulled when they're not. And all that's happening is the oxygen is being burnt up and it's creating a vacuum, which is science. Anyone can do this, which we know. And if what you're saying is true, the atmosphere is actually pushing the water down, like you're saying, like you want people to believe, you wouldn't need to burn in the first place, right?
Right. No,
why
right.
do you need to
let me explain to you why. Let me explain to you why.
Yes.
All right?
Why you need to burn.
Because at first, in that cup, there is oxygen, as well as the other elements of the atmosphere, okay? The flame uses up the oxygen, just the oxygen, none of the other components. But if you use up something, that's going to take it away, which means there is some space left for the atmosphere to push the water into. If you didn't burn up the oxygen inside it, then the atmosphere couldn't push any more water into it. Right?
That made no sense, Craig, whatsoever.
It made absolutely perfect sense. Okay.
Why doesn't it go up without burning?
Because there is pressure inside there.
Can I take a stab at trying to explain
Please,
this
team,
in a different
please.
way? Because I think
Oh,
I
yes,
think
you
that
need
I was
help,
just not
right.
catching
Yeah, but I
your
don't
drift.
mind. Absolutely step in. Try to explain
No,
this
hey,
lie
Spurs,
that-
I'll step out. I won't say anything. I'll step out. I don't
No,
want to
I'd like
upset
to
you,
hear it.
Spurs.
I'd like to hear another
No, you
opinion
don't.
on
I
this.
mean, you don't want to hear what I have to say because what I have to say is
Oh,
not
Oh, I
gonna
do.
All right,
you out.
go,
do want to hear
go.
what you have to
So
Go on,
You
team.
explain to me.
So what's happening, Spurs, when he puts the cup on top of the, let's say there's no flame, it's just the candle floating in top and he puts the cup on top, right? The water level remains at the same level because the pressure on the inside of the cup is equal to the pressure on the outside of the cup. So then when he burns the flame, it's burning up only a portion of that atmosphere, which reduces the amount of pressure on the inside of the cup, okay? There's still pressure there, as you can tell, because the water doesn't go all the way to the top. There's still molecules pushing out, but there's less molecules pushing out. So then as the water rises, it compresses the, excuse me, I'm sorry, my phone went off. As the water rises, it compresses the amount of atmosphere that's still left there. Therefore, it increases the pressure until, again, the pressure on the inside of the cup matches the pressure on the outside of the cup. So if you could remove more gas from the inside, you'd have less pressure, and the water would continue to push up. Now, the water's pushing up because the pressure on the outside of the cup is pushing down on the water. Both pressures are pushing down on the water, but one is less than the other, and it'll rise until the pressure on the inside of the cup is in equilibrium with the pressure on the outside.
But then you wouldn't need to burn anything then, would you, if that were true?
But if you don't burn anything, then you're not removing components of the atmosphere on the inside of the cup. Then it'll always remain in equilibrium.
You need to create a suction inside of this cup in order to suck the water in. That's the only way you can get the water.
But it's not a suction. It's not a suction. It's actually like, think of it like this. Think of it like you're pushing down just a little bit harder than I am on a teeter-totter, you know, on like on a pivot, you know. You're pushing down a little bit harder than I'm pushing down, right? Not so much harder that you're just going to send me all the way to the top, but just a little bit harder. So you're pushing me up. Now, as you're pushing me up, let's say that as you push up, something else starts pushing down a little bit. What's starting to push down on my end a little bit is by you pushing up, you're actually compressing all the air. Now, as you compress all that air in the top of that cup, it starts pushing back down on the water as well. That's like what's pushing down on me. And eventually, you'll push down on me so hard until we reach an equilibrium where it's the amount that I'm pushing down plus the, the increased amount of pressure that you've generated by pushing the water up.
Yeah, that's what we have to imagine. Are you showing my screen still, Craig?
No, 2 secs. I'll put it back. Hold on.
No, I'm sorry, Spurs. I didn't want to interrupt. You guys just seem to be talking in
No,
circles
it's
for a second. I
absolutely
just want to
fine.
give a different perspective of it.
No, it's fine.
Yeah.
But, the main thing is we're looking for cause and effect. And if the cause were pressure, an actual pressure, we'd be able to make a measurement and read that pressure. So how are we reading that pressure? The pressure at sea level is supposed to be 14.7 psi, right?
Yes.
Right. So how is it 14.7 psi at sea level and 14.7 psi at 33 feet below sea level? How does that work?
Water's incompressible.
But you feel the pressure of the water, yeah, when you're underneath it.
Well,
You feel the pressure. It presses on you the deeper you go, the more pressure you feel, right?
Well, yeah.
So when you go 33 feet below sea level, you feel 14.7 psi of pressure. Now, how can you feel 14.7 psi of pressure at sea level when you're standing here right now? How is it possible that we are feeling this immense pressure? Can someone explain this to me?
We're feeling the pressure of the atmosphere above us.
Well, I don't feel any pressure now. I feel it when I go underwater.
Yeah, but there is pressure of the atmosphere now because all the atmosphere is above you being pulled down.
I know you said that, but how do we measure it? What device? How can we measure this?
A barometer?
Okay, a barometer. How do you calibrate a barometer?
By putting mercury in it?
Mercury?
Isn't that what's
Put
in
mercury
the...
into the... Okay, I don't understand. So you have a barometer from the factory, you build it, you put mercury in it, and then what? What happens?
I personally don't know how you calibrate a barometer. I would have to look up that. But
So how are we measuring the pressure then? How are we measuring atmospheric pressure at 14.7 psi? And that's to all three of you. Reg, you can get involved. Team, you can get involved. Craig,
I'm sorry, right, let me clarify your question. Your question is how...
Hang on. Everyone shut the fuck up.
Okay.
Shut the fuck up. If I actually get involved in this, I don't want to hear you bitching that's 3 against 1. Just making that explicitly clear right now.
No complaining.
Right,
no complaining. No, this is an open discussion.
Then we'll answer that question. Okay, so question: if I set my my PSI gauge at 0 in a vacuum, and I keep it in that vacuum, what will my gauge read?
Well, can you have a 0 vacuum?
If I set my PSI meter, if I zero it out in a vacuum and I keep it in that vacuum, what will it read?
I don't know.
What
is
will
the
it
vacuum 0?
If I zero out my meter in a vacuum and I leave it in that vacuum, what will the meter read?
It will have a reading because there is a slight atmosphere in there, yeah? So I don't know what the number is. How do you set the numbers?
If I zero out the meter, do you know what that means? If I zero it out.
Yes, but you could do this in a vacuum or out of a vacuum. It doesn't make any difference. There is still what you would consider.
Good. You're jumping ahead. Very good. So you already know where this is going. Now let's see if you can actually answer a direct question. So again, if I zero out my meter in a vacuum chamber that's under full vacuum, what will the meter read if I stay in that vacuum?
Right. 0, yeah, delta P0.
0. Perfect.
Yeah, delta P0.
If I go to the beach, outside in a nice air, the nice humid Floridian air, and I zero out my meter there, what will it read?
Well, it'll be 0. Down to P0 again.
It would be 0. Perfect. We're getting places. Okay, so if I
Right,
zero
the
out my
question,
meter,
Fred. Just get on with
hang
the
on,
point.
hang on.
because
You're getting it. Shh. It's okay. We'll get through this together. If I zero out my meter in a vacuum, that's under full vacuum, and I take that meter outside of the vacuum, it will read a pressure, right?
No. It will read 0 pressure in the vacuum, and it will read 0 pressure out of the vacuum.
Wait, what now?
And you will never be able to demonstrate this either way, because there is no atmospheric pressure for it to read. This is what you're not understanding. The only way you would get a reading is if you took your meter thing to the top of the phone.
Everything you
where
said was
think
just
there
wrong.
zero
So
pressure.
let me. Okay. Obviously,
Yeah.
you don't know how this shit works, so I'm just going to tell you the answers because otherwise we're going to be here all fucking night. All right. If you zero out your gauge in a vacuum and walk outside, it will read 14.7 psi because there's 14.7 psi of pressure there. Now, if you were to take that same meter and if you were to take that same meter and zero it out at sea level and then take it underwater, then you can get it to read 14.7 psi after you go down a certain depth. The difference here is that it's where the meter is zeroed out. If you take that zeroed out meter and take it underwater, it will not read 14.7 psi. It will read above that always. So what you're doing here is you're comparing apples to oranges and then bitching and moaning that your apple doesn't taste like an orange. The meters were zeroed out in different ways. When we talk about atmospheric pressure, that's in reference to a meter that was zeroed out in vacuum. Where when we're talking about pressure underwater, we're talking about a meter that was zeroed out at sea level. So there you go. That's the difference.
And I think I need to clarify one point as well. I think I might have missed it because someone in the chat said, did you say that there would be no difference in pressure at sea level and 33 feet under the water?
No. I'm saying that at 14.7 psi at sea level is the same at 33 feet below sea level.
You're comparing two different things. You're comparing atmospheric pressure to water pressure, and those are two completely different things. Liquids are not compressible.
At 33 feet, there's actually about 28, 29 psi that you can register. Trust me, I'm a submariner. There fucking is.
No, it's not. It's 14.7 psi at 33 feet.
Well, actually, you gain about 14.5 psi for every 33 feet you go down.
So how can you feel pressure at 33 feet but not at sea level?
We are feeling pressure at sea level. We're feeling the atmospheric pressure.
What pressure? There is no, it's the same thing, pressure.
The atmosphere.
I've already answered this question for you. Your inability to understand it does not mean that there's no pressure around you right now.
Right, you just said pounds per square inch, right?
Wherever you like. Right, this doesn't make sense.
Spurs, you just said something important. Pounds per square inch, right? You defined what psi is, right? So pounds per square inch. You take a square inch of the atmosphere. Is there a pound of something there?
It's the same as a pound per square inch of water. That's what we're measuring here.
No, because water and the atmosphere are different. Oh my goodness me! Wow. Okay, so your first evidence of the flat Earth is you don't understand pressure. That's love. I mean, when you brought out the action labs there and
I've demonstrated that there is no pressure because the cause of the water going up to the glass is the suction of the vacuum.
No. Okay, well, let's clarify something. Inside the glass, there's not a vacuum. There's a partial vacuum, right? When that flame combusts, it's going to...
you've done research, Craig. Well done. That's physics. That is a vacuum in that glass.
A partial vacuum, right? When that flame combusts... Listen. When that flame combusts, it converts the oxygen to carbon dioxide. and there's less of the carbon dioxide now than there was before, and which means that there's less space. The gases have cooled, so that's what then creates
Craig, I know all of
so
this.
there's some space that has been created that then allows the pressure of the atmosphere to push something into it. That's what I'm saying to you.
No, a vacuum will suck because it
Vacuums
fill the space.
Vacuums literally don't suck. That is not how vacuums
Well,
work.
it's demonstrated
at all.
here. The water is going up. Why? Because the vacuum is sucking water up.
That's what you're saying, all right? You are saying that the vacuum is sucking, but that is wrong because vacuums don't suck. Vacuum is just a vacuum is literally the absence of pressure, and pressure will always seek to fill a vacuum. That's what's happening.
How are we measuring this pressure? Show me a measurement that shows 14.7 at sea level.
Sure,
Let's have a look.
Just get a barometer. Any barometer.
Right, well, show a demonstration. Let's have a look at that. Not a digital one.
A barometer
an analog
one.
one.
I mean, you're literally asking me to show you a barometer, something that has existed. I'm going to take a wild guess now, but I'm going to say barometers have existed for at least 500 years. All right, if I'm wrong about that, if I'm wrong about that, then please correct me. But you're asking me to show you something that exists. You know a barometer exists. Therefore, I don't need to show it to you.
Let's
but
take
how
this
are they
as,
measuring?
hang on. Let's look at this in absolute atmospheric pressure. Okay, so it's going to be known as ATM from now. Okay, Spurs. When you're at sea level, you're experiencing 1 atmospheric pressure. Okay, one unit of atmospheric pressure, which will be 14.7 psi. Okay, if you go down 10 meters. You will feel 14.7 psi, but that would be 2 units of atmospheric pressure at sea level. The reason why you can feel it is because you're used to it at sea level, and you're not used to it while being under 10 meters of fucking water. That is the reason why you feel it underwater, and you don't feel it at sea level. You have evolved to deal and cope with regular atmospheric pressure. And if you want to feel regular atmospheric pressure, go into a vacuum. I guarantee you're going to wish it was back very, very quickly.
No. That's wrong. Right. So they tell us.
No, it isn't.
That
is quite literally physics.
God, you won't let me finish, Fred. I waited till you finished. I waited till you finished then.
All right.
Yeah, but unfortunately, you're not actually listening.
No, because what I'm about to explain will prove that you're wrong, right? So they say there's 14.7.
Okay, I'm holding my breath.
Okay, so they say there's 14.7 of atmosphere at sea level. Mm-hmm. So our internal pressure is 14.7. It matches that to cope with the pressure. Now, if we experience any kind of 14.7 pressure, we do not feel it. Like you just said, we're supposed to be used to it. That means in any medium, any capacity, if the pressure is 14.7, our supposed internal pressure, when actually our blood pumps at something like 2.5 psi anyway, and where does that extra 12 psi come from? Who knows? But anyway, back to the point. This pressure is like this. It's like a spacesuit, right? That's why when you supposedly go to the moon, that spacesuit is supposed to equalize. Right? And that's how your body would be underwater.
Right. Spurs, can I ask you a question?
You're already wrong because
you have no idea how pressure works. This has spooked you.
Right.
You wasn't ready for this.
Dude,
Right.
You obviously don't know how math works. So let me explain it to you again.
Right,
in
Reds,
detail.
Can I ask him a question first? All right. Okay.
Sure,
so
and then I'm going to explain it in vivid detail.
So during my training in the Royal Navy, a lot of time in Wales, climbing mountains there, and you take up snacks and stuff. You packet of crisps in your bag when you go up. It's deflated. By the time you get to the top of that mountain and you go in to open that packet of crisps, it's inflated to double the size. Why did that happen?
Because when the atmosphere, when the temperature drops, okay, the molecules contract, which cause things to freeze, and it just can't handle it. It's the temperature that changes.
Wait, no,
which is the cause.
the bag expanded. Nothing contracted. The bag expanded. The bag went from being a deflated normal packet of crisps to being something that was ready to burst by the time that I was ready to open it, sitting on the top of the mountain looking out at the beautiful countryside of Wales. So why did that bag go from being deflated to almost twice the size at the top of the mountain?
It's to do with the temperature.
You just said temperature makes it contract. It expanded.
Yes. Do you have a demonstration of that?
Just ask anyone that ever climbs a mountain.
No, you have to show us that.
My goodness, right.
I'm not so sure that do.
Well, no, they 100%
Slice Arcane
do.
has a video of Slice Arcane has a video
And
of
it
him
depends
driving
where
up the
you
mountain
are.
doing that exact observation. So
Oh, really?
can I explain this in vivid detail now?
Yeah,
Yes,
please.
he actually does. Okay.
Well, let's
Spurs,
have a look.
I
Then
found
we
the
can-
actual unit. It's called bar. 1 bar of pressure is 14.5 psi pressure. So sea level. Okay. If you go down 10 meters to experience that 14.5 psi under the water, 10 meters below the water, you're actually experiencing 2 bar of pressure. Do you want to know why that is?
No, well, I'm just thinking about why Okay, so if you've got you're taking a temperature up
Talking
to
about
a
pressure, not
colder.
temperature.
Yeah, so the inside the bag is obviously warmer than the outside temperature, which is obviously causing
Talking about pressure, not
excitement.
temperature.
No, it's temperature. Yeah, definitely here temperature was what we're dealing with.
No,
Inside
I'm talking
the
about
bag.
pressure, not temperature. We're talking about.
But it's
you
not
asked the
pressure.
question, why am I feeling?
There is no atmospheric pressure. That's the thing.
No, there actually is, which is something that.
Well, unless you
happened
can measure
repeatedly
it, you can't
demonstrated
just say there is.
You can
How do you
measure it.
Barometer.
A barometer that someone actually told me was made in like 16
Dude,
something.
hang on. Barometer. Here's the thing, Spurs. I make you this offer right now. I will go on Amazon and I will buy you a barometer right now. I just need an address to send it to. I will buy you a barometer right now, and you can hang it up and see every single day the measurement of atmospheric pressure.
No, just show it. Just show a video of somebody going up and calibrating and showing the 14.7 psi at sea level. That's all.
So when you look at 1 bar pressure, it's zero bar pressure would be a vacuum. Okay, so when you take it out of a vacuum, it will then increase to 1 bar pressure, which equals 14.
Well, let's see that then. Let's see
if
from
you
a
take it, if
vacuum
you take
to the
it under the water, 10 meters, you will experience 2 bar pressure. The pressure that you feel underwater is not the same as the pressure that you feel above the water at sea level. It just isn't, dude. If you're asserting the opposite of that, you are wrong.
I've demonstrated.
Can I share something real quick?
Bullshit.
Yeah.
Can I share something real quick?
Yeah. What is it? A video?
It's actually backs up what it backs up what Reds is saying right now. Give me 1 second to
I'll
load
just
it up.
present
in
your
Vmix.
screen.
Yeah, you can do that. I'm gonna just I'll get it up in VMix.
Everyone loves seeing a talking
The
team.
display. Oh yeah. All right, we're close. Hold on. Okay, so you see this, Spurs? Let me show you something. This right here is an underwater watch. Okay. Now you may have a hard time reading it, so I'm gonna go ahead and read it for you. Actually, we're just gonna focus at that little thing on the side over there on the left, okay? It says that at a depth of 0, so sea level, the pressure is 1 atm / bar. The pressure, or the depth at 10 meters or 33 feet is 2 atm or bars. The pressure at 20 meters or 66 feet is 3 atm or 3 bars. Now we can continue going on and just continuously add 33 and 33 and 33 and 33 because water is incompressible and the pressure that you're feeling is due to the weight above you. Okay, so as you go down 33 more feet, you're adding just the same amount of water that you added to yourself when you went down the first 33 above your head, 33 feet above your head. So what Reds is saying is exactly right, and what you're saying is exactly wrong.
Well, all gas pressure.
And there's a
formulas
practical
are
demonstration.
calculated.
This is a scuba watch, so you can't, unless
Yes,
they're
but-
just making
but in
faulty
your-
equipment and selling it to
Yes,
pass on the flat Earth lie. Then
Yes, well, in your model,
Oh, go ahead,
You
go ahead.
live in a open system, and all gas pressure formulas are calculated in an enclosed environment. So, when you take your barometer out of the vacuum, it won't work
Right.
because it's
So
how will it work?
This is a concept that I've tried to get across to Flat Earthers
How would it
recently.
read any
Is
pressure?
that well,
How would it
that's
read any
that's what I'm
pressure?
trying to get. Right. Let me explain. The container of the atmosphere is gravity. Okay.
Ah, excellent. So you brought up the magic word, gravity.
Well, let's not say magic. This isn't Harry Potter.
you brought it up,
Gravity
not
is
me.
clearly an apparent
Went
force.
there, Craig. I think
Absolutely, I
waited
did.
for you.
Because that is the
I
important
waited,
point here. The container of the atmosphere is gravity. That is what is creating the air pressure.
Right, gravity, you say,
Yes, 100%.
which is what exactly?
The warping of space-time by mass, which manifests as a apparent force we can measure as 9.8 meters per second squared on Earth.
So the warping of space-time, which is
Yes.
relative in itself anyway, how is that a force of any kind?
Well, because the cause is the warping of space-time. The effect is the force. Okay.
Yes,
The
but
warping
again,
the warping
how-
of space-time causes the apparent force that we can measure. Because
but you see, Craig,
because you
again-
have to visualize what gravity is. Now, I'm going to help you visualize it on a 2D environment. Okay, picture a trampoline, right? And you take a bowling ball, a big heavy bowling ball, and you stick it right in the middle of that trampoline. Okay,
Yeah.
right. So it's creating a well that goes towards that bowling ball, right? And then you take a marble and you put it on the edge and you let it go and it rolls towards that big bowling ball because the fabric of the trampoline has been warped by the mass. Okay?
Right.
And that has created this movement of the marble, which now you have to imagine the two-dimensional trampoline as 3 dimensions all around you. So the mass, the bowling ball, is pulling everything towards it from all directions. It's not just that one direction, which means that things move towards it because they are naturally inclined to change their locality to go towards the bigger mass because of the warping of space-time. And that change in locality due to the warping of space-time is what we can measure as an accelerating force. Okay?
No, I understand. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but again, this is time, and time obviously is not a force. It's not a cause. You can't manipulate time.
I
things
didn't
like
talk
that.
about time. I didn't mention time once. The fabric of space-time is a very different thing to time. Okay? The fabric of space-time is itself one thing. It's everything.
Yeah, it doesn't move. It's static. So it's relative. Everything in space, or as you call space in your universe, is not actually moving. The only reason why it would move, obviously, is because, like you said, the greater mass of an object, right?
Yeah.
So, for example, if you had a bowling ball in space,
Yes.
just floating around, or not floating, just you put it in space and it just was in space, it would move towards the largest mass in that area
Yeah,
or
I mean,
vicinity.
the best way to think about it is everything is moving towards everything, but the bigger things make things move towards it fast. But that, I mean, the effect has to be, the Earth is so massive that's why we feel the effect. Although everything has a gravitational attraction, you're not going to feel the gravitational attraction of a bowling ball compared to the gravitational attraction of the Earth.
Right.
So yeah, the force. I mean, it's not a physical force, it is an apparent force. The same way that centrifugal acceleration is an apparent force. It's the result of something else. And we measure the apparent force because we know there's an acceleration towards the ground of 9.8 meters per second squared. And an acceleration requires a force to be present. So we know that there's a force because there's an acceleration. And based on observations and experiments throughout time, we have figured out that it is the warping of space-time that causes this apparent force.
Well, this is the problem, you see, because every force, creates a pressure, and this pressure, this atmospheric pressure, has we can't measure it. We don't have a device that can actually measure the atmospheric pressure. The pressure seems to be the same on the ground as when you go up into the sky. The only thing that changes...
Sorry.
Hold on. The only thing that changes is the temperature. So obviously it's warmer down here, and you go up in altitude and it gets colder.
Right, so...
And, that's the reason...
Are you denying that there's a pressure gradient in our atmosphere?
Yeah, there's no gradient, no pressure gradient whatsoever.
Okay, I mean, I would love you to explain that to people that live like high up in the Himalayas and why they, have different stuff happen.
There's a temperature.
And then I would love you to also explain why airplanes have a elevation ceiling because they can no longer maintain thrust compared with the lift. I mean, we know air pressure. Once an airplane goes up a certain amount, it can't go any higher because there's literally not enough atmosphere for it to be able to do that. There's a limit of how high most planes can go. Planes can't just fly into space. I mean, no, cold temperature has nothing to do with it, and sorry, I'm a little bit speechless that you've just denied that we have a pressure gradient. It's a measurable thing. We know there's a pressure gradient. Fucking instruments on airplanes use air pressure to help them determine how high they are. You can take a barometer and take it up a fucking hill. You can my thing about crisp packets expanding. There is you can't breathe when you go up high. You need an oxygen tank to be able to breathe when you go up to the top of fucking Mount Everest. Spurs, don't be so fucking ridiculous as don't be so ridiculous as to deny a basic part of reality of the pressure gradient. Fine, but there is no dispute over the fact we have a pressure gradient. This is a well-known fact that is demonstrable in an insurmountable number of ways.
No, I can demonstrate, and I have already demonstrated, there is no pressure gradient, there is no atmospheric pressure, it's completely temperature-based, okay? Now I'm going to share my screen and show that an aeroplane, okay, so there was a passenger in an aeroplane, and obviously they were at high altitude, and, we're told, if like a window, was ajar or open, then, the pressure would drop and, it'd be difficult to breathe and all these types of things. Let's take a look at this video and then we can see what we think of this.
Okay, so when you're ready.
Yeah. Okay. So. So they were ascending, let's turn it down a little bit. So they're ascending over Orange County, on the way from Alaska. They're flying high in the sky, whistling, air rustling, noise coming from their window. They don't think this is normal. What else? Let's speed up a little bit. Double speed. So he's concerned that his window is freezing up, which I said it's temperature. Okay, it gets very cold. He checks the other window. Everything is fine, good to go. But this window is a huge problem. He's concerned. So what does he do? He has he looks around, he checks it out. Is it safe? What's going to happen in this moment? So he notices, the molding is loose. Let's slow that down a little bit. So he calls for the flight attendant, and she looks at it. Let's go back. Speed it up too quickly. Just so we can, just for the audience's sake, you know, so they can see what was said. So we can see that the window's ajar here. All right, so the pressure must be dropping. Oh no, danger! Right, this is the problem. Right, there's a huge error here.
The window is not ajar, Spurs.
Hold on. We think the window is loose. Right, you need to check that out. Let's pull it out. Let's have a double check. Oh, for goodness sakes, it's completely loose there. Wow. Okay. So we've got the window open. The pressure's not dropping. He's concerned. So he calls for the flight attendant. She looks at it. She says she's going to check with the captain. She disappears for a couple of minutes. It's a normal thing to do. Don't panic. Your window's open. Nothing to worry about because obviously, you know, the atmosphere is not dropped. Needless to say, he's panicky. Doesn't need to be panicky. If he knew the truth about there is no atmospheric pressure, where he could just open his window and if he's not too cold, then he could bear it, right? Because they say when they climb a mountain, they have to get used to it, right? So let's play. Let's continue.
There's 2 panes in there, dude.
Yeah, I mean,
2 panes in there.
I was
look,
I was waiting for him to hang himself.
Yeah, there's nothing to worry about. You've got a window ajar.
Dude,
30,000, 20,000.
The window's not
feet,
ajar.
whatever.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. The window's not ajar. There's another window beyond that pane that is keeping the atmospheric pressure the same inside, and which is where basically keep the differential from the outside.
I mean,
so how is the window mold? How is it freezing up like this?
Spurs. You know when people go skydiving, right? And they open the fucking doors.
Yes.
Trust me, the pressure drops.
No, it doesn't.
It's funny that they can register that drop.
Is that why the last time I went skydiving, my ears popped like hell?
Yeah, I mean that was another thing I was going to say. Spurs, why as we raise in altitude, why when we go up a really big hill do our ears start to pop?
Yeah, that doesn't happen to everybody. That's to do with blood pressure and heart conditions. Not all people have their ears popping.
Okay, regardless of whether all people do or not.
Blood pressure affects your ears popping. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so if you're unhealthy,
this is unbelievable.
If you're unhealthy and you're bloated,
wow.
If you're a bloated person, you're likely to pop.
Right, guys,
right?
There's a poll. There's a poll in the cards. I put a card into the video. There's a poll. I'd like everybody to take the poll. Because I was arguing with Sean Huthard about what the content of this poll is, but now I think I agree with him. Spurs, I'm astounded. Honestly, I'm completely astounded that you're denying that there is a pressure gradient. It's a fundamental fact of reality that you literally can't deny.
Mm-hmm. Well, can you demonstrate?
You know that they have to carry.
And apparently, you didn't even know the very simple fact that airplanes, especially like those, Southwest, Delta, and shit like that, all those planes, they're double paned. There is always going to be a barrier between you and the outside environment.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so now
let me ask you a question, Spurs. On your door in your car, okay, on your door in your car, I'm sure you have a panel, right? And you have a car that has a window that goes up and down. So if that panel on the inside of your door came off, do you think that you're going to fall out the car because the interior panel on your car door came off? Or do you think that there's actually a steel door out there that is in place that will catch you in case some shit happens on the inside of the car and the panel comes off while the car is in motion?
No, let's move on. I just wanted to show that. There's no need to dwell on that. It's there on tape. It's there for all to see. If you people really think there was atmospheric pressure, you need to be able to demonstrate that, right? Now, what I'm going to be able to demonstrate next, again, this is the difference between the flat Earth community and those in the globe Earth community. We are able to make demonstrations and show that what you say is either true or is either false. Now, you tell us that things in a vacuum fall at the same rate, okay? So everybody's used to seeing Brian Cox at NASA in a great big giant vacuum showing the ball and the feather, and they fall at the same time.
Yeah.
Now, if you're suspicious, which some of us are, you would have to ask yourself, can this be replicated? Because obviously science needs to be demonstratable, observable, and repeatable. It's very important, right? Now, the question is, like I said, can we repeat demonstration? So I'm going to share my screen once again.
Okay,
for the
let me
good
set it
people,
up.
and for the future flat earthers.
By the way, can I say the 800 people watching? Thank you very much. Everyone smash the like button.
Yeah, good, because we have to plant many seeds because this truth needs to be known.
Oh,
We've
definitely,
been told
Spurs. We all need to know the truth, most definitely.
We are being
For the
told
800
lies,
plus people
Craig.
watching, I apologize, but thank you for having such low standards.
Reds, brother, Team Skeptic, brother, and Craig, brother. We are all being lied to. Let me tell you how. Now, do you see my screen?
No. Actually, I will agree. We have been lied to. We've been lied to by Jeranism, by Bob from Glowbusters. We've been lied to.
Wait,
by
don't diss Bob.
Superrats.
Don't diss Bob. He proved rotation for us.
Okay. Bob, please accept my apology.
Right, Spurs, please show me this demonstration of whatever this is.
Okay, so before we get into this video, we need to lay out what we've been told, how we've been told, and how we've been presented information, right? So, yes, we saw Brian Cox showing a vacuum, and things fell at the same rate. And the question was, can it be repeated? And what we find is that these things in real time, now the key, ladies and gentlemen, is real time, not slow motion, but they have presented. We would like them to present ball and feather fall at the same rate in real time so we can slow it down ourselves and make an actual measurement ourselves and get correctly whether it's 9.8 meters per second or not. Right, so we need to know if things fall at the same rate. So what we have here, we have Action Lab again. Let's take a listen. We're going to watch this. This is just 2 minutes long, I think. So.
Okie dokie.
Okay, today to test out my new slow
Oh, Action Labs again, lovely.
I'm going to be dropping a feather and a chunk of metal and see if they hit the ground at the same time under a vacuum. So the key to this experiment is dropping them at the same time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach the feather to the top of the vacuum chamber with a magnet. So this experiment proves that gravity pulls on everything with the same acceleration. And the reason is because the force that gravity pulls down on you is proportional to the amount of mass in the object. So the more mass an object has, the harder gravity pulls on it. But the more mass it has, the harder it is to move. So what that amounts to is everything is pulled down at the same acceleration due to gravity. But what makes it a little bit messy is that in air, there's also air resistance when things fall, and so you can't really see how everything falls at the same rate. But if you remove that air, then you should be able to see that effect. Okay, first we'll do in-air test. So this is dropping a feather in air.
Which of these parts is the interesting part?
I mean,
Okay, we're under full
I'm waiting for him
vacuum
to
now, so
disprove
let's go
something.
ahead and
Like,
see
just
if it looks
push
any
it to the
different.
part where they drop it at the same time and you see the feathers move or whatever that you want to show.
Okay. Yep, exactly what we'd expect. What's your point here, Spurs?
Hold on.
I'll do it in normal
Hold your
speed so you can
horses.
appreciate how fast the feather actually.
So you just missed what.
Okay, I want to do it.
So this is the important point. So he's saying to us now, we need to see this in normal speed in real time. Well, let's listen to what he says.
In normal speed so you can appreciate how fast the feather actually falls. So here's feather in a vacuum, normal speed. 3, 2, 1.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like it almost
He says feather vacuum. Everybody hear that?
Yes.
Feather in a vacuum. 3, 2, 1.
normal speed, so you can appreciate how fast the feather actually falls. So here's feather in a vacuum, normal speed. 3, 2, 1.
I mean, we don't even need to slow it down. I mean, I think everybody can see in a vacuum, feather and metal object do not fall at the same time. But I mean, we'll watch it again one more time.
Wait. What?
Hold on. Let me present, please. Let me present. You have nothing to worry about if things fall at the same rate. But you have everything to worry about. You have your channel, you have your lifeline, you have your belief. Everything is on the line.
Okay, Spurs, get to the point.
If I'm able to get through my next sentences.
Okay, go on then. Go on, please.
Okay, so, one more time again, we're watching real time. He says, oh no, we need to catch the words.
Oh, we know what he said. He said in real time, how fast?
3, 2, 1.
Okay, feather in a vacuum, 3, 2, 1. Okay,
Yeah.
so now we get the opportunity to slow it down ourselves, which is the most important thing. So let's do that right now. Let's slow it down to 50%. And let's watch.
Normal speed. 3, 2, 1.
And let's try to catch the frames. Very important, we watch frame by frame. So what do we see? We see metal object and feather not, and I repeat, not falling at the same rate in a vacuum.
Except
now,
they
this
are.
is again. Hold on. I know you will be, you'll have lots to say, of course.
Can you just
again,
let's skip it on the next few frames?
The most important thing, Craig, is demonstrations. Now,
Mm-hmm.
we're able to demonstrate as flat earthers, as a community, that things do not fall. And again, look, next frame. Look at that. Hits the ground. Now, one has to imagine if the tube was longer, a long tube like at NASA, we would see that fall a lot further. Okay. That's the next frame. And it's already hit the ground and the feather is way behind in the race. If you put your money on the feather, if you bet on a joint, I don't know how you describe it in gambling terms,
Right.
but
Okay, so
50-50.
So
what
they literally are falling at the same speed. Now, one thing you have to remember is that that's not going to be a complete 100% vacuum in there, all right? But when you can see that as he takes out the magnet off, parts of the feather are still in line with where the bit of metal is. You also have to take into account the fact that the feather probably has some kind of static force keeping it slightly attached to the thing for, I don't know, a few milliseconds. But you can see that they fall at the same speed. More importantly, accelerate.
So he's removed the magnet now. Okay, you're saying there's electric inside this vacuum, yes?
No, I'm saying that the feather will probably have some kind of static charge on it.
The feather has static charge, yeah.
Yeah, anything
but
gets static charge.
Not in the other one when they fell at the same time. Because what I'm trying to put forward is that because NASA are trying to deceive the people, this guy is also trying to deceive the people. Because if we hear what he says in this video that they fell at the same rate, and we can see clearly, let's have a look clearly, that they do not fall at the same rate, okay? In real time. I mean, this is a huge problem. Now, you might think, oh, this one guy, he's made a mistake, maybe there's a problem, is there anybody else who has tried to demonstrate things fall in the vacuum? Well, yes, of course. And let's this here. So this is another guy. This is from Mr. B. Things fall in a vacuum. Let's listen to this.
Well, I mean, I hadn't finished with that picture. I mean, you can.
Well,
with that video.
No,
I mean,
should we go back to the other one? Let's go back to. Okay, let's.
I mean, you can clearly kind of see that the feather sticks to the top for just a tiny bit as you let it go. I mean, that was my point. That there's more than just the little things that you're kind of looking at there, and also when you look at
I'm
the
listening.
slow-mo one he did, and it does show them
So
falling at the same
this is the
time.
vacuum one. This is the one. So the point is, Craig, is that in slow motion he showed not the he doesn't show. This is obviously it's not the same as the other one that we saw in real time. So how is it that this one is sticking together like glue almost in slow motion? Yet, I mean, look at that, Craig. Perfect. I mean, that's what you would expect in a vacuum, right?
So wait. So you're saying to me that he faked this? Is that what you're saying?
Well, like I said, we're very skeptical about when things are presented to
Spurs,
us.
yes or no? Yes or no? Are you saying he faked it?
Look, that's for you to decide, Craig.
No. I want you to tell me if you think he faked it.
Oh, Craig, that's for you to decide.
No,
right?
I'm asking you a question, and I want you to answer the question. Are you telling me that Action Labs has faked what he's doing here? Or is it possible that there was some static electricity, that the things that it's still, when you look at it, it pretty much falls at exactly the same speed. The feather accelerates at 9.8 meters per second squared. But what you can see on the other one is that the feather actually sticks to the ceiling of the chamber for a tiny bit before it starts falling.
So
which also means that the acceleration has started for the metal before the acceleration has started for the feather.
But in this one, we've got the feather sticking to the ceiling or the roof of the chamber here, right? In the same fashion, it's still sticking, but they fall in the slow motion. In their version of the slow motion, they fall at the same rate, but we still see sticking up here. You see? Oh, this is without air. Yeah, this is the one we want. So we do see the feathers go up a tad, what does that tell you?
That it's not a perfect vacuum?
But it's near, so it's zero enough.
No. Hold on. That's wrong. Listen, if the feathers
That's
in a
wrong?
perfect vacuum with gravity pulling down, the edges of the feathers will be pulled down by the force of gravity. Now, when that feathers drop, they're not going to raise up. They're going to stay in position until the feather drops all the way down and they're in their inertial state. That's why the feathers appear to go up to the center of the body at first when it's dropped. It's because when they're at rest, when they're at rest, the edges of the feathers are being bent down by the force of gravity. And then when you let that go, the rest of the feather has to catch up to where they're at. They're in a non-inertial state. Then once they get into their inertial state, they all fall at the same rate.
Okay, so again, you haven't demonstrated gravity. I've shown that things do not fall at the same rate. You're yet to show a video in real time, bear in mind, of things falling at the same rate. Now, look, before you jump in, let's have a look at this one. And bear in mind, this is teaching children, right? Primary education. On the website, you can see the
You can't make an accusation and then just continue on as if we're not going to call you out on it. Just throwing
on
this
what?
out. So actually, no,
on
we're
what?
not going to move forward. We're not going to move forward until we address this thing, because you're saying, oh, they're lying to us. They're teaching children. Yes, we are teaching children facts based on actual science, not this bullshit that the flat Earth narrative has been trying to push. So yes, we are doing that.
Yeah, but I haven't done anything wrong. I'm showing you
facts.
I'm showing you your facts. This is your.
You are showing us your misunderstanding, sir. Do not try to push your misunderstanding onto other people. That, my friend, is called intellectual dishonesty, and I will be very quick to call you out on it.
Frankly, everything you showed tonight, Spurs, has been evidence of the model that we understand, and it's things working exactly as we expect them to. You haven't shown anything that's contrary to what we say. All you've shown is that you don't understand the difference between oxygen and the atmosphere, frankly. And I really hope that Tau Ceti Alpha has been paying attention, because episode 34 is going to be fantastic.
Or base, or not only that, but Spurs, I asked you a question that was asked much earlier in this hangout, just to drive home the point. What is 3 minus 1?
Oh, for goodness sakes, Reds! Why do you go down this path?
All right. Because it was kind of important to the point that I was trying to make.
We're trying to show demonstrations of gravity, aren't we? We're trying to prove gravity is a real thing.
Right. Well, let me just. What you're saying there, everything that you're saying is destroyed by the one simple fact that the things in that chamber accelerate. Acceleration requires a force. Therefore, gravity's real. End of discussion.
So we should just accept what you say without any demonstrations. Is that what I should do?
Unless you can prove to me that acceleration does not require a force, and
I'm trying to.
Right. Well, if you can demonstrate that acceleration does not require a force, then please go and make an infinite energy engine and change the world as we know it, because that's what you're saying is possible. If you're saying acceleration No. If you're saying acceleration does not require a force, you're saying that we can create infinite energy. Okay? Can we create infinite energy? Fuck no, we can't. Acceleration requires a force. That is a fundamental fact of nature. Objects at rest will stay at rest unless there is something acting on them. Acceleration requires a continual force to keep accelerating. These things are undisputable. Acceleration requires a force. And if that isn't true, then everything about the universe needs to be changed, and literally we can invent infinite energy.
Look, the key to understanding everything that you're saying is a demonstration. Okay? A lot of what you're saying makes a lot of sense, but there has to be a way to demonstrate what you're saying.
And now, there is.
They tell us that things fall at the same rate. Now, the average man, children, students, they have to be able to demonstrate this to have correct and accurate results. Now, if I'm allowed to share my screen once again.
Okay. This will be in about 10 minutes. We're going to have to start reading super chats and wrapping up. Get ready for the next one. So,
absolutely. This is only a couple of minutes long. We can skip through it mainly. The idea.
Yeah, please do.
Hey Spurs, are you free tomorrow night? Because I have I'll talk to you about gravity. I didn't want to interrupt you guys as much as I wanted to, but I didn't interrupt. So if you're free tomorrow night, I'd love to have you come on and talk with me about gravity.
Definitely.
I mean, I'll reach out to you.
Like I said, like I said, if there's no atmospheric pressure, there's no gravity, it means no ball. I understand why there was such an alarm and hysteria right now, but I'm only trying to demonstrate to the people and yourselves that things do not fall at the same rate. So let's have a look here.
My space and my forces, key stage 2 workshops. What we've got here is a vacuum chamber, which I already use in the workshops. We do things such as playing a bell in it and reducing the air in the chamber to show people that sound travels through air, so the sound just goes off. I've heard that before. We also do things like putting a marshmallow on it to see what would happen if you remove your space suit in space, of course, experiments. We do all sorts of things like that. But I've been after doing this for a long time, and it took a little bit of working out. It looks like some crazy invention, but when I explain it, it might make more sense. So basically, we've got a little hinge at the top here, which swings down when I take this off here, like this. So of course, any object I place on either side will both drop at identical time because that is level. The objects I've got are a marble and a feather, and the purpose of this little experiment is to show what happens if you actually remove the air from a gravity field, such as on the moon, and to show people that really what should happen would be if the force of gravity is the same everything, they should hit the ground at the same time. So that's the purpose of the experiment. I just need to set it up.
Skip forward to where he does it.
First one. Okay, there we are. So we're fully loaded. Here's the first one. We've got the marble on this side.
What?
Just it's fine. Just leave it.
But basically, you can see it's dead simple. I just pull these neodymium magnets off, and it just drops it. So I'm just going to show you this first one. And this is with the air still in the chamber, so we're not going to get nothing to help. To see what happens, I'm shooting for it. 3, 2, 1. There you go. So that was quite noticeable there. The feather obviously fell
slower because the air is going to trap inside it. So now we're going to try it with a vacuum startup on the screw setup. Now you're not going to pump it. Okay, so the pump's whizzing away here. This is sucking all the air out of the jar. As you can see here, if I lift it, we've got good suction there. I'll hear the noise of the pump change in a second. This will tell me that it's got the process changing out, so tell me it's got the vacuum. And it's pretty much reached the maximum vacuum. Which is what I'm moving, which is quite strange. So I'm going to turn it off now and see if we've got the vacuum times it through. Alright, so hopefully, well, I'll tell you what, you make a prediction before I do it. There's no air in there now. And let's see if you're correct. So your prediction 3, 2, 1. There you go. So, hope you could be correct, as you can.
Oh dear. Oh dear. Sir, let's have a look again. And bear in mind, this is what is being taught to children. This is why we're so alarmed.
I'm confused. They fell at the same time.
Yes, of course. In real time, it looks like that, right? But remember, we have the ability to slow.
Well, slow it
things
down then, Spurs, and show us how wrong you are once again.
Okay, so that's in the vacuum. So now we're going to slow it down. Let's do this and let's listen.
3, 2, 1.
Okay, so let's do it frame by frame. And we see already that the ball is on its way down, 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 way beyond and touches the ground way before the feather, which is what we expect because things do not fall at the same rate, guys. I'm sorry to break it to you guys, but things do not fall at the same rate. Demonstration upon demonstration show
Except they literally
that
did
things
fall
got-
at the
this
same
is touched
time.
the ground. This is still floating. Now, remember the most important thing: if this tube was longer, what do we expect to see? We would see the ball continue to fall, and this feather would. Now it's touched the ground.
Right. So,
Secondly,
answer me one question: did the feather tumble as it fell?
let's have a look.
Thank you.
Prediction 3, 2, 1.
Let's re-swing that. 3, 2, 1. There we go. Same time, because they're at the same time, obviously. But obviously, because the ball is heavier, it drops way down. Look at that. Already down there. Look at that. Already gone. Wow. And
Well,
the most important thing
right,
is
Spurs,
that-
stop. So the bottom of the feather and the marble touched the bottom of that at the same time. Thank you for demonstrating that things fall at the same speed in a vacuum as we expect. So well done. Thank you. Once again, gravity confirmed by Spurskizmo. Well done. Brilliant. Job done.
Are you sure?
Yeah,
Hold
100%.
on.
I think we can end this hang out on that.
Hold on.
Go on, team.
That's my golf clap. That's my golf clap, guys.
Yeah, Spurs, you literally just demonstrated things falling at the same rate in a vacuum. I mean, take into account that the feather is tumbling, but then keep the bottom of the feather at the same place as the marble, and they both hit the bottom of the chamber at the same time. Everything you've done here tonight is demonstrate that A, you don't know what you're talking about, and B, things act exactly as we expect them to. And I would like to thank you for coming onto my channel and proving gravity to the 900 people watching. That was extremely kind of you. Well done.
Anytime.
No worries. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. And I think all that's left is to read out the super chats and see if Reds and Team Skeptic. In fact, before we read out the super chats, Team Reds, anything you want to say?
Yeah, I'm gonna. Well, here, Reds, you can go first.
Okay. Be sure to tune into my channel on the 12th. There will be a Atlas 551 launch video on my channel. That'll be premiering, and I hope to see you all there. Other than that, team.
Already appreciate it. Yeah, I thought this was a very civil discussion. Good job, guys. Fight the flat Earth. You kept your calm very well. I
I'm
expected
trying.
less calm from you, so I think you did very well. Spurs, you're a good dude to talk to, man. I disagree with you fundamentally on physics and our reality, but I think you're a good dude to talk to. So let's definitely set that up for tomorrow night.
I appreciate the time. Yeah.
What time?
because,
What time
you
works?
know,
Yeah, what time works for you tomorrow? What time works for you tomorrow?
Yeah, just contact me on Discord. You know, Craig's got the details, necessary details. We can go from there, right?
Sounds good.
Okay.
I look
yeah.
forward to it.
I think I have you on Discord, so.
Yeah.
Excellent, excellent.
Yeah, thank you for coming on, Spurs. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. Guys, make sure you take the poll in the cards. Let's read the
All
super
right, I'll
chat.
be listening from the watch page. Catch
Good,
you
good.
guys later. Thanks, Brett. Thanks, team. Thanks, Craig. Good luck, guys.
Thanks, Spurs. Take it easy. Right, so super
Take it
chats.
easy, man.
Let's start with the Sun Express, $5. Aircraft experience ground effect when landing and increase in air pressure right underneath the craft without a container. Yeah, that's right. $5 from Reasonable Assumption. You dummy. The matches make a hot gas environment. When this cools off the gas, atmosphere shrinks, vacuum. Yeah, I mean, I tried explaining it in so many different ways. $5 more Canadian dollars from Reasonable Assumption. The oxygen is still in the glass. It's just bonded form and unusable for combustion. $5 more Canadian dollars from Reasonable Assumption. You didn't remove any oxygen. You only use it to oxidize the match head, so it's just still in the glass. Yes, that is right. It's a correction from what I was saying. The oxygen wasn't actually removed. It was just converted into other forms. €2 from the Snark, 78% nitrogen, 20% oxygen. Yeah, this is what I wasn't going to go into the numbers, but I was trying to get across to him that there's more than just oxygen, and if you take away the oxygen, that doesn't necessarily mean a vacuum. $66 from 01322132. Spurs is right. Helium balloons are filled with vacuum since there's no oxygen in there. $1.99 from the Evil Scotsman. Hello face, meet desk. Yeah. Sorry guys, don't hurt yourself. $5 Canadian dollars from Reasonable Assumption. Explaining stichotomy and partial gas pressure to a Flerf LMAO. Yeah. £4.99 from Evil Scotsman. We couldn't survive on Venus, but it still has an atmosphere. Yeah. €5 from the Snark. 1/5 oxygen, 4/5 nitrogen. The oxygen doesn't disappear. It changes into denser carbon dioxide, so a maximum of 1/5 of the volume disappears. Yeah, which means there's space for the air pressure to push more of the water into. $5 Canadian dollars from Reasonable Assumption. It's still in the glass in a covalent bond with solids, carbon, etc., and becomes more dense. You can't destroy a molecule with a match head, for fuck's sake. I apologise for getting the explanation of that wrong. Thank you for correcting me, Reasonable Assumption. $2 from Leroy BB8. It will read 0 like Spurs IQ. I don't know. Is it possible to get a negative IQ reading? $5 from Bombay. Yep. Sorry, team.
I was saying they're trying really hard to prove that possible.
Yeah, definitely, or at least attend to the negative 17 IQ.
Yeah. Wait, isn't that negative IQ?
Tau City Alpha, you can literally just mirror this debate, and he has a new episode of Flat Earth Full Retail Hard Mode. John Rapp, $5 Please teach him equilibrium. $5 more. No Spurs. It is you that doesn't understand. Listen to the adults, please. $5 from Bombay. 33 feet to increase 1 bar. The ocean is part of the conspiracy. Yeah, 33. Who would have thought it? $2 from Leroy BB8 in your model, 33. $50, thank you, from GT Racing David Long. You guys are great. Spurs, please give in live and be the man you should be, not a flat earth imbecile. Stop this madness. Come on, dude. If only it was easy to chuck money at them, but it's not. £2 from Keith Miner. Atmosphere pressure in LA plus Bolivia is 9.3 psi. $5 from John Rapp. Oh no, it just has to be 33 for fuck's sake. Please use metric, you space pioneer barbarians. $5 from Andrew Stoll. I have personally felt the difference between the pressure in Michigan and the pressure high up in Colorado. OMG, the stupidity here. $5 from Tim Pryor. Tell him he needs to keep up with his flat earth buddies. At least other flat earthers agree that there's a pressure gradient. I know, that blew me away. £199 from Chris Gilroy. Time to kick the Po out. It's too obvious now. Yep, take the poll in the cards. $5 from Space OMFG. A change in temperature does not mean there is not a change in pressure as well. $12 from Tim Pryor. I'm 45. Is he claiming I had blood pressure problems when I was 12? I don't have blood pressure problems even now, and never have. Oh, what a fucking idiot. Yep. $5 from Space Spurskizmo. Who is they? If they were as powerful as you believe, you would be dead. Yeah, $2 from Space Why doesn't North Korea debunk NASA? $1.99 from Jen Morgan. Child, you have only shown you're a complete fool. $12 from Tim Pryor. Ask him how it is the feather is falling faster. Stop cherry picking one insignificant thing. $2 from Space They. $2 from MA2 Fletcher Iser. This is Spurskizmo's audition for Dumbfuck of the Year. And £5 from Two Left Thumbs. You were so bait and switched on the Feather Magnet video. He played back the air one after the... Oh, I'll have to check that. Apparently he's trying to be dishonest. Let me just check there's no more. $2 from Leroy BB8, gravity confirmed, and $5 from the Sun Express. Air pressure due to temperature, so we should be able to breathe just fine in the thermosphere. Yeah, apparently so. Well, that was fun, wasn't it, guys? No?
Can you hear
Are
my
you asking me or the
excitement?
chat?
Yeah, you guys down there, you two.
Listen to my excitement.
Let's have a look at the poll and see what percentage of people think Spurs is actually a Poe. We've got 89% of people think he's a Poe. And that was with 700 people taking the poll. Right, so I think Poe confirmed. $3.33 for Mike 71. Someone needs to give Spurskizmo a duck barometer. Yep. All right, but we're going to close it up there tonight, guys, because in half an hour we have I've forgotten. It's Schrodinger's cat versus Zoom Truth, and me and Jared from 82 Productions are going to moderate that one. Thanks, team, for coming on. Thanks, Reds, for coming on. Always a pleasure, guys. Make sure you guys subscribe to both of the guys below me. If you don't, I will find you. I will find you. But for now,
He found me, so
yeah.
He's not lying.
You can't get away from me. Stupidity is not a right. Fight the flat earth. Fight the flat. Fight the flat. Fight the flat. Fight the flat.